A very good evening, a warm welcome to Dan Really Likes Wine, presented by Pick and Pay. Welcome to another week. Welcome to some more fabulous wine. We do have some great stuff to look forward to today. A little later on in the show, we're heading out to the Hemel Valley to find a pair of surfing brothers with very little understanding of technology, but plenty of understanding of how to make great wine. If they can overcome their technological hurdles to get back online, then we will have them just a little later. The brothers Newton-Johnson, with some new releases out in the Hemel. Not surprisingly, their Pinot Noir and their Chardonnay, but also their Granum, which is something a little different from a part of the world which we normally tend to think of in almost exclusively Burgundian terms. So that is to come just a little later. And then in a moment, we've got wine named after a small but very important character in one of the great movies of the 21st century, inspired by a very off-the-wall character. And it's led into a wonderfully quirky but also very successful story that is about to extend from beyond just wines into a wine bar as well. At least I think it's a wine bar. It sounds more like a sort of tequila madhouse, but we'll get the exact details on the Pig Sty in just a moment. Before we do that, quick congratulations to Pilgrims, winner of the Platter's Newcomer of the Year. That was announced about an hour ago. JP Rousseau was on the show with us on Thursday, confirming our new Winery of the Year. And if you keep an eye on all of the Platter feeds on social media, you'll see over the next few days other announcements regarding best red, best white, etc., etc. A lot of hard work goes into that. The hard copy only comes out in December. Amazing it's coming out that soon, given the challenges of a COVID-infected year. It's one to look forward to, and in the interim, plenty online to keep your wine enthusiasm sorted out. So it's the Platter Newcomer of the Year, Pilgrims. That was announced a little earlier on today. Right, so two wineries to look at, Newton-Johnson, a little later on. But first up, it's not really a winery, it's more of a cool wine brand run by two very cool guys. And as I said, it was inspired by a character in one of my favorite films, a film that really should have at least been nominated for Best Picture, if not winning it. That didn't happen, but instead of getting an Oscar, the film did, through this character, get eternal recognition through a very cool South African wine brand. Let's have a quick look at the film character that inspired the wine, Spider Pig.
Spider Pig does whatever a Spider Pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a Spider Pig.
So there we go. Spider Pig from the Simpsons movie, a piece of cinematic genius. Came out a few years ago, and Spider Pig clearly struck a chord with two guys called Dave. One of them is a Wibberley, the other is a Nell. Gentlemen, a very good evening. Warm welcome to Dan Really Likes Wine, and thank you for joining us with your wine. It's a wonderful story, and it's fantastic to see where it is now. It was a half idea after a few glasses of wine. Mr. Wibberley, give us a background. How did you two come together, and how did the name get settled upon?
Yeah, how's it, Dan? Great to see you again. I mean, we've come full circle here. Must be honest, over the years, Dave Nell, McSteamy himself, has coined quite a few versions of the story of how we got together. So I'm going to let him tell it, because I've probably told it 17,000 times. But it's definitely got better.
Okay. Hey Dan, how's it, man? So a few years back, having a few drinks as we do in the Hemel Valley, which is where this actually originated, which is very funny that we're doing this with the brothers Newton-Johnson. We did a release of one of the wine farms I was representing at the time. Went down to their house afterwards, had a few more drinks, as one does. We started singing that song, the Spider Pig song, obviously. And I thought that this would be a really radical wine brand. I don't know, maybe because I'd had about $9 of wine, but that was good. And then on the way back the next morning, I phoned up my other brother, Dave, and I was like, man, what do you think about doing this as a wine brand? And he was like, dude, I'll have a label with you like in a couple of days. Like, man, we still need to find wine, do everything about it. Literally like a week later, he was like, there's the first label. It's not a big wine brand label. So I had to change a few things because we've taken everything from the Simpsons and put it in there. But, it's now been refined. We've now got 8 products in our portfolio. And we've got different winemakers making wine for us. And yeah, that was in 2015. So our first wine was in 2014 Pinot. And then after that, yeah, everything's history, basically.
It's a fantastic story. We've got some of this wine to try. A couple of people saying hello as we kick off. Monica Roscoe saying hi, Wibs. And Manuel Ferro, who is one of the comment there from Daryl Balfour, who asks, is anyone else getting double sound interference? Yes, we are. We're just trying to sort that out. I think Mr. Nell, I'm not sure if you've got a second device open or are watching it on a phone, but we're getting a little bit of double sound coming through. There we go. Fantastic. I think that's sorted that one out. So we've technical fixed. We also have Dave Wibberley fixed, which is important because you've been in hospital for the last couple of weeks, Dave.
Yeah, I had a brush with that COVID-19 thing.
Is there something else I can help?
That's happening out there, and that's very, very helpful of Siri. I needed you about 2 weeks ago, but thanks. Yeah, no, all good on the mend. Staying safe, keeping the mask on, social distancing.
All right, well, we need you back on your feet because it's an important time for the Spider Pig brand because you've got the Pig Sty opening up soon. I want to find out what that is in just a moment. Before we do that, talk me through the journey, Dave Wibberley, of the wine from this daft idea after a few drinks to where you find it now. Because as flippant as the label is and as much fun as you're clearly having with the adventure, I do get a real sense that you have managed to make a bit of a business out of this and you have managed some success.
Yeah, I could say it's definitely been, when you start and embark on something, you just really don't have an idea what's going to come out of it. We definitely thought that we were on the right path in the sort of method of what we were trying to do. And we called it Piggy Purpose. So it wasn't just sort of going out there and hacking some wines together and throwing on some labels. We definitely gave some thought to the processes that we've put behind the wines that we have out there. Also with the relationships and the winemakers that we work with are definitely friends and adversaries that we respect in their own right with their own labels. Also wines that make or representative of both Dave, Nell, and myself. So I mean, we've got our Brosé Rosé, we've got Chenin Blanc, we've got a new Chardonnay now, the Grenache Noir and Pinot Noir have been staples that have been there for a while. We've got 3D Pig, which we put together with Duncan Savage, which was a 2-year project that manifested itself when the time was right. And then we needed to put a wine out there that really sort of put us into that echelon where we could knock on the door with some serious contending wines with the Black Pig, which we collaborated with Chris de la Riche. So, I mean, when we started this, it was definitely a hobby at the time, but we've definitely just responded to the people's demands for what they want in the brand. And it's just become sort of fun and inclusive and relevant. And, I feel that the more fun we have it, the more fun the people out there having with it. And there's a bit of an education in the bottle. And it's basically how we coined the phrase now. It's fun on the outside, but it's still serious in the middle.
Which is a terrific combination. Dave, now tell me about the business model. You don't have your own sprawling estate and vineyards all over the place. How do you find your wine? How do you make your wine? How do you put it all together?
Dan, well, listen, I've been involved in wine since 2007. Started a distribution company. Left there, went on my own as Steel Wines, and then merged with David Cope to do public wines and public distribution, while still doing Spider Pig as well. So I've been involved in wine for quite a while. I was a sommelier at La Colombe for 6 or 7 years, and I've been to have the relationship with the winemakers that we do now for the wines, the guys that make us wine. It's escalated into a proper project, albeit it's a concept brand, and we don't actually make all the wines. We do have a hand in it, but we do the marketing and sales. And as Wib said, it's super fun on the outside, and a lot of guys look at it like, yeah, this is fun, and and it's very quirky. But the wine in the bottle is some serious juice, and we've got some serious winemakers putting their names behind the Spider Pig brand, which is really cool.
Well, let's have a first look at that one. We have 3 of them to try. We kick off with a Chardonnay. It is the off-the-wall Chardonnay with the Spider Pig proudly emblazoned across the label. Dave, really introduce me to your Chardonnay, if you will.
Yeah, so like we said, Dave and I both have sort of very different sort of styles of wine that we lean towards and find some happy mediums in the middle. Dave, definitely a Burgundy fanatic, and I enjoy white Burgundy and red Bordeaux. So Chardonnay was definitely a white variety we needed to add it to the mix, and we put this together with Adam Mason when he was still working at Wilderbosch before moving on to De Morganson. And it's a Chardonnay that I feel just really brings in what people who don't understand Chardonnay or too scared to sort of venture into that big, heavy world of, heavily entrenched wooded wines and expensive Chardonnay or white Burgundy. This Chardonnay is just covering sort of your main aspects of the grape varietal itself. It's inviting, it's delicious, it's subtle. And, the name of the wine just came almost instantly because, Spider Pig on the wall, Spider-Man on the wall most of the time. But this is off the wall good. It's off the wall because it's off the charts good. It was just a simple, quick link to the product itself. But we also want our wines to be enjoyed in abundance. We don't want someone just to sit down there and feel like they need to have specific type of food with it. We keep really low acidity with the wines itself, fruit forward, and just a comfortable, delicious drink.
Dave, now is please do. Fire away.
I just want to add one thing on here with the guys who are meant to be doing the wine tasting with us. They're very big surfers. There's a surf spot in Sea Point, I believe, on the promenade somewhere along there called Off the Wall, and they're very big surfers. So maybe we can do some wine swapping with them. Obviously, 1 bottle of ours, 2 bottles of theirs. It is what it is because it's off the wall.
I thought you might be looking to swap wine for surf lessons. I think they'd give those up quite happily.
No, you're in the water. Definitely not.
So, Dan, interesting fact, Dan. Interesting fact. 5 out of our 7 winemakers all received 5 stars for their respective brands in this year's platter. So we've got a nice, some heavy hitters behind us in terms of our products.
All right, so I can see Bevan Sadi and the Molyneux lining up outside the Pig Sty to plead for collaborations.
I created a T-shirt for Bevan Sadi, yet to pick it up, though. It's called the Footstool.
Which he will wear with pride, I am sure. Dave, now you're the Burgundy addict in terms of this Chardonnay. What does it do for you? What puts a smile on your face from this wine?
Well, I had a meeting with Mr. Mason, and I know we were discussing if there was anything that we could do as a piggy, a collaboration with him behind it, and he said, "Listen, I can get some grapes from Pickeneerskloof. So these grapes are from the Tierhoek wine farm." And I said, "Well, listen, I love Burgundy, and I need something along those sort of lines. Obviously, we can't make Burgundy here because we're not in the same sort of latitude either, like daylight and the ripening, and we need to make our own sort of style of Chardonnay, which is cool." So I said I needed something there's no new wood on it. I want something that's very approachable at a young age, that's got all the characteristics of a really nice, easy drinking Chardonnay that everyone can drink. And it's, like I said before, it's a fun label, but the wine is very serious. It doesn't see any new wood. It's 11 months in old oak. So obviously that makes it a little bit more approachable, as opposed to having any new wood and you need to leave the wines for a little bit. But I know for me, this just it gives everything that a Chardonnay needs to give, and specifically from that area. The Pickeneerskloof is it's got some amazing grapes, which is cool.
If you are one of those people whom Chardonnay is not a favourite, I think to echo Dave's sentiment there, this is definitely one to have a look at. The wood is very delicately done, and it allows the fruit to take centre stage, and very, very nicely so. So that is the off-the-wall Chardonnay. It is off the wall, it is into the glass, and it is disappearing quickly. For a moment, and head over to wine number 2, the Flying Pig Day of Wibberley. So here we have the spider pig, hard at work, saving the world. The Grenache Noir we have here. Give us the story to this one.
Yeah, so the Grenache Noir was the first wine we ever did under the Spider Pig label. And the reason why we called it the Flying Pig now is because they say when great things happen, pigs will fly. I kind of feel that Spider Pig has kind of come that journey in terms of what we did when we started 5 years ago. We were achieving a little bit more than what we anticipated, which is great. So I thought it was also always going to be when Dave and I opened up a wine bar, we're going to call it the Flying Pig. So it was just aptly named that specifically. The thing with the Grenache there is that's been our sort of top-selling red since we started. And again, it's just a very light-styled wine that could be drunk all year round. We find that there's a glut of sort of very heavy reds within South Africa. So with this Grenache Noir particularly, we've lightened it up. What it lacks in color totally makes up for in flavor. It's perfect for summer, chilled in the fridge on ice. It's just an easy red that really doesn't need to sort of be overcomplicated again. Love that sound. Yeah, we've just stuck with it. It's sourced out in Wellington from a very specific site. Yeah, this you open and finish in less than an hour.
Yeah, I was going to say it is a very dangerous wine because it is light, it is delicious, got a very Moorish touch to it, and I can see take a degree or two of this off, head out to the swimming pool, and that's the rest of your afternoon gone in a blur. But
exactly.
So,
the sense we're trying to create, Dan, with the brand itself as well is that, you know, if you can take these bottles of wine and put them on the dinner table, or take them to a braai, or take it to any occasion really, and it becomes a talking piece. You know, because we have complete control of what's going in the bottle, that we're not dictated to certain sites. We're kind of choosing where and what we want to put in that bottle. It comes a bit of a trust for that, creates a talking point. You know, it really sort of just separates everything that's in front of it. There's no sort of real ego behind the wine itself. It's just pure enjoyment, which is what we're trying to create.
You have some fans watching. Maki Chase saying, David Wibberley, great to see you. Maki, thanks for tuning in. And Maki also has a question. I think this goes back to the Chardonnay, Dave. Now, what type of oak? Is it French or American?
All French. All French. All the third, fourth, fifth fill barrels.
Which is probably the right answer for someone who seems to have the Eiffel Tower in her profile picture. I suspect she'll be very happy that it is French. Thank you, Mike. I know Daryl Labalfour, the sound is still an issue. We are trying to tweak it, but it is picking up ever so slightly. Okay, in terms of not just the Grenache Noir, but all of these, if I look at somebody like the absolute lunatic that is Peter Volser, who makes 870 different wines from 870 different vineyards, sometimes 3 bottles from a single range, and then on he goes. Or Duncan, I know you're doing some work with, pick stuff from different places. Is it we're going to repeat every year this wine from this place, or is it a bit of mix and match, and we find something new in a particular year and we make something accordingly?
For now, I'll take this one. Yeah, for now with the Grenache, with Corlia Ferry making this for us from Bosman, it's pretty much going to be the same year on year, same vineyards. We might need to ramp up the production, so we might be bringing on a few other new vineyards from them if they can, I don't know, make more for us. I mean, if they've got more juice. I know they have planted more Grenache vineyards, which is cool. But as for now, I mean, we do about 5 pallets for this one, so it's not a massive production, but For now, this is what we're going to do. Production wise, we would like to ramp it up. We're looking at doing a few exports as well, so hopefully we can ramp it up a little bit. It would be nice to have stock year round. A lot of our wines we don't have stock year round of, so yeah, would be cool to have this year round.
All right, so that is the Grenache Noir, Flying Pig. It leaves us with one wine to have a look at. Dave Wibberley, this is a very serious one. One of my very serious.
Yes.
That's a very intimidating looking label. So this is the big gun. Give us the story here and what gave you the name.
Well, not all pigs are pink, so we needed a black pig in there. They're often the cutest, really, and more, how would I say, recognized internationally. I think black pigs have a sort of royal stigma to it in some countries. But we wanted to be able to put a wine out there that kind of just really sort of put its head above the rest of the range. And a few years back, I was chatting to a good friend, Christo Lariche, and we had a Cinsault, and I wanted to add some cab to it, being a big cab fan myself, to kind of go back to that reminiscence of an old school blend, which were typically done in the 70s and 80s with our cab, which was mostly Cinsault anyway, with a touch of cab bringing up the backbone. And with Cinsault also making a sort of a strong sort of comeback in South Africa, I was just looking for some cab to blend in. And Chris said, look, I've got some cab that he's a fan of the brand, which helps always. He just said he'd have something for us to look at. And this was just such a simple exercise where we went into a specific room, looked at some very specific barrels of some 47-year-old old vine Cinsault and some 21-year-old bush vine Stellenbosch cab, and blended together with some pipettes and got a little sweet spot in terms of percentages together and created the Black Pig. And to be drinking this kind of Cinsault quality with 2019 cab and to have the astuteness of, I think, a high-class South African wine, it's just quite remarkable. And this is why we wanted to put it there in the black and gold. Bit of marketing research in terms of what happens internationally, and with consumer vision on a shelf, we believe that gold and silver has that aspirational quality. And Black Pig fitting into the 9 blocks that we've used as our branding and a lot of our logos. There it is, Black Pig. Straight and simple and unbelievably good.
It is delightful. There's plenty of history to this exact blend, as you suggest. Black and gold, you should have plenty of Kaiser Chiefs fans buying it, although if you've been watching Chiefs of late, it might suggest they've been drinking the Black Pig before they run out onto the field. It is a lovely, lovely wine. Dave Nell, in terms of all of them, this is the big one. Does this tick a favourite box for you?
Dan, this was Dave Wibbs's, I know you can call it under the pet project. He was like I've been doing the Pinot, I do the Chard, I was heavily involved in the Chenin. This was I know he came to me and said, like, I know he had a meeting with Christo, and I really want to do this. We want to blend a Cinsault with cab, and we want to have like an old school South African blend with more of his favorite varieties. I was like, well, listen, it's going to cost a lot as well, so let's make it proper. The first time I went there, I was like, I mean, I've known Christo for a while as well, so I popped over there with Webbs, and he was like, oh, here's your first thing, let's have a look, this is what you guys have blended. And I had a taste of the wine. I was like, dude, it's a magnificent wine. And I thought it's not really my sort of wine, but the making of it is outstanding. Yeah, that's all I can say about that one. It's magnificent.
I think you have an obligation to make it something special. I was drinking some of the 2010 Lariche Cab over the weekend, and it is as much a home of Cabernet Sauvignon Stellenbosch as there is, and Etienne's legacy lives on. So if you're going to take Lariche Cabernet Sauvignon and add something to it, you better get it right.
Exactly.
Well, that's why we need the wine a crystal.
And he's done it absolutely perfectly. I mean, I didn't have a lot to do with the wine. That was all Wibbs. I mean, I've done I mean, like I went there for the blendings, which was very cool as well. But I mean, this is basically Wibberley's wine. I mean, as I said, like I did the Chard and the Pinot, and the Brose obviously is mine, has to be mine. But yeah, the Black Pig, which is he's knocked it out the park with Lariche. He's done a super good job, and I'm very impressed with it. I just wish we had made more.
Yeah, unfortunately, only 1,800 bottles made, Dan.
And I suspect they will disappear very quickly, particularly because there is a new home from which to dispatch them. Dave Wibberley, tell me about the Pig Sty.
Yeah, so the Pig Sty was a culmination of a few things. Being a virtual brand and a concept brand, it was very difficult to sort of answer the staple question you get from your general wine consumer. And where do we find you? Where are you based? Where do you make your wines? It's quite a difficult question for us to answer in the beginning, to try and explain to people that we just collaborate and put things together, like Vanilla Ice, stop, collaborate, and listen. And so we needed a venue to. we actually had the caps made there. We needed a venue to launch the Spider Pig to become more accessible, because people need to engage with the product itself. So after many discussions, the Pig Sty was formed. Again, the 9 letters falling into our logo from a marketing point of view. And what it is, it's basically just a Spider Pig engagement experience. It's called the Pig Sty because our tagline is "Please excuse the mess." Nothing matches in there. It's starting to look like Ronnie's sex shop, to be honest. There's a bit of Spider-Man posters on the walls. There's a pink wall. There's other bits and pieces. We want people to come and have fun. It's kind of just disruption with purpose, and not your cookie cutter standard tasting room that you find all over South Africa. We want to give people an option to sort of really sort of branch out and have a different approach to gauging with wine. So come this weekend, we are launching the Pig Sty. Yes, Fatty Bacon Productions is our actual holding company. It's not a made-up word. We are doing drinks, tastings. We're opening up all our wines to be on display for people to get stuck into. We've got Luke Wanacott from Table 7 coming to do some artisan pizzas. I mean, everything he touches is spectacular. And yeah, we're going to be doing this every month. There'll be a different themed party at the Pig Sty.
Well, it looks like a terrific venue to come and hang out. So here is my pledge to you before I bid Team Dave farewell. Probably have to be early in the new year, but come down and let's see if we can have a Pig Sty Dan Really Likes Wine weekend party. We'll do some live broadcasting, drink some wine, and celebrate the collaboration of wine and good fun, which I think is exactly what Spider Pig is all about.
It is. It's really awesome. I mean, we're having a lot of fun with this, and we appreciate the support from the public and guys like yourself that have sort of given us the platform to really sort of take this to the people.
There we go. Well, Dave Wibberley, Dave Nell, congratulations. I love stories like this where you've taken a completely stupid idea, influenced by large amounts of alcohol, and turned it into a really cool and successful business. I think a lot of us can identify with, both from the quality of wine, but the fun aspect as well. And you've knitted them together beautifully. I think the story is still some way from reaching its conclusion, but I'm really excited about your next few chapters. So I will see you down at the Pig Sty. We'll make a plan for it. We'll let everyone know. And you can come and join Dan Really Likes Wine and the Brothers Pig down at the Pig Sty and enjoy some Spider Pig. Lovely wine, no surprises. Thank you for the time, guys. Mr. Wibberley, good luck with the final recovery from COVID. Best of luck with the official this weekend, and we'll see you down at the Pig Sty soon.
Excellent.
Thanks,
and Dan, don't forget to get piggy with it.
Oh dear. On that terrible note, we will bid farewell to the Brothers Pig. Dave Nell, Dave Wibberley, the guys behind Spider Pig. It sounds like a ridiculous brand, and then you try the wine, and then you realize, you know what, behind the frivolity of it all, there's actually something quite serious. Pairing up, and you heard the names they mentioned. They're working with Duncan Savage, working with Corlea Fourie out at Bosman, making some terrific wine from different parts of South Africa. And it is wine that, on the basis of 3 I've tried so far, deserves a lot more attention than you might initially give it when you see the cartoon figure on the label. So the off-the-wall Chardonnay, the Flying Pig Grenache Noir, and the Black Pig, the Cabernet Cinsault blend made with Christo Lariche, Etienne's son. There's some heavy-hitting wine behind the labels, as there is with the wine from our next group. So let's go from two guys who are kind of like brothers to two guys who actually are, although they frequently deny it when one of them is behaving worse than the other, and it's often hard to tell which that is. Let's go out to the Hemelanada Valley. They have been patching a tape recorder up to a Telcom landline, and I think one of them's currently sitting on a bicycle to power it, but we think we might have got some internet connection into their little corner of the Hemelanada Valley, which might not be terribly technologically advanced, but is absolutely beautiful. And it's home to some of my very favorite wine. Gordon and Bevan, welcome back to Dan Really Likes Wine. How are you both?
Cheers, Dan.
Yeah, good to see you, Dan. Good. Yeah, we just got Gordy on the bicycle, just got that taped up, so yeah, all good.
So some behind the scenes revelations here. We get everybody online about 20 minutes before we go live. This is the 19th different set we've had the Newton Johnsons in since we started, as they tried to find some signal somewhere and then frantically tried to get a pay-as-you-go coupon to top up their data. So we've got you on, and I'm very, very glad we have, because we've got some new releases which I'm terribly excited to try. Before we do that, let's get an update on Team Newton Johnson. Probably about 4 or 5 months ago now, where we had you on the show, and we were still in the throes of a lockdown, and we couldn't sell wine and we couldn't drink wine, and we all had to go to bed at 6 o'clock in the evening and sleep under our beds so COVID couldn't catch us. How have the last few months been, and where do we find the Newton Johnsons now? In a slightly better place?
Slightly fatter place, actually. So yeah, lockdown has taken its toll. Getting into lockdown like the lightest I've been in years, and now it's all showing. So the lockdown body has taken effect. But fortunately, and very grateful to say, we've been very busy. So grateful to say that there's been a number of people wanting the wines, and we've been working. I think we're always late, always behind, as you see tonight, but just chasing after, thankfully, what people are wanting. So grateful.
I love the way that you guys balance the Newton Johnson business, because you've got Gordon who does all of the work, and then you've got Bevan who talks about it all. So it's quite a nice balance there in terms of how things work. But I know your work has also involved tasting, sampling, enjoying a lot of wine over the last while. Before we get tucked into the Newton Johnson, was there anything particularly cool and exciting that you found in deep, dark corners of the cellar during lockdown?
Well, I think there's the odd Burgundy which has taken a bad hit over the last few months. But yeah, sadly, a lot of those wines are running out now, which I think is the case with a lot of people out there who've got some great cellars. But I had my first tasting, with the Cape Winemakers Guild just last week, so it was actually great to just get out there and taste some other wines, see some of the people, and just interact with them. So it felt good. It felt a little bit more normal.
I was lucky enough to get a evening away, and we went across to the Swartland to spend the night with Adi and Evan, and then the next morning with Evan again. Lucky enough, it's lovely visiting in the winelands. So you always come home with a case of wine. You always arrive giving a case of wine. So yeah, there was a bit of Bardmores that I could enjoy. And I mean, again, quite a few wines there. Each one amazes you after each other. Evan's wines is fantastic. And then lucky enough, got on to Helene from Hartenberg, and she swapped a whole lot of wines. So I've been drinking Hartenberg luckily enough for the last few weeks. And don't tell the family, but always happy to drink someone else's wine. So Spider Pig boys, I'll always have a go at theirs. Always happy days when they come along with a case of wine.
It's a wonderful element of the winemaking world, how well most of you get on and how you chat to each other, talk to each other. Gordon, I'm interested from a winemaker's perspective. Over the course of the Dan Nicholl show, my other show, a lot of the creative types, especially the musicians and comedians we've had on the show, have spent this time of lockdown kind of reevaluating what they do, going into a creative process. They haven't been touring or running around, so they've been writing new songs or kind of looking at who they are and where they are. What's it been like from a winemaker's perspective? Have you had time to kind of sit back, reflect on what you do, where you are, and what you might want to be doing over the next few years?
Most definitely. I mean, I said goodbye to my wholesaler team on the last day, just before lockdown. We took in our last grapes, and it was, another 6 to 8 weeks of still looking after wines, getting them to barrel, looking after some fermentations, and spending a lot of time by ourselves, and yes, just really, not. I think we're pretty much know where we want to go in the vineyards and the cellar, and it was a bit more stress and worrying about what's happening in the market out there. So yeah, perhaps that clamped a bit down on the whole creative process. But no, I mean, we're continually changing and continually learning from the vineyards as they age. So for me, it's always continual, and I always question myself, sometimes to my detriment, but hopefully it comes out with better wines every time.
Your job is to make those better wines. Bevan, yours is to flog them as far and wide as possible. The silver lining I got a sense of through this lockdown was that the South African wine story did get a lot of traction as people realized we were under so much pressure. Now that we're back to something approaching normal, how much has that selling of the South African story abroad, and I think to some degree here as well, home in South Africa, had a positive impact on wine sales and on people having an interest in wine?
Yeah, it's been very interesting to see it from a number of different point of views. I mean, us as a family working together, we kind of inherited my dad's company at the time, now just over 23 years ago. And that was based around a Scottish client. So 23 years ago, we were 100% exporting to Scotland. And then last year, we did 65% in South Africa, 35% overseas. And it's been awesome to see the enthusiasm from South Africa. But we've been a brand ourselves, or as a family that loves restaurants, love eating out, well, me particularly. So we've invested ourselves heavily into the restaurant sector, and we've seen that really come under massive pressure in Cape Town, Johannesburg, the Garden Route, Durban. And so we have seen exports climb dramatically. So this story has resonated well overseas. I mean, I think thankfully those who've ever come here have always gone back with such good memories of South Africa and have such a big following for our wines, not just us, but I mean, around the country. So I even heard it last week. The Wine Society, which is a mail order business that is decades old in the UK, had 20% new members in this year alone. So, they've got a business model that's been working well over decades, and yet there's been this completely renewed interest. So we've seen markets like the UK, Germany, into Holland as well, that have got strong online platforms, Sweden, that Denmark as well, that have all actually explored their channels extremely well and have actually managed to grow sales very strong.
I love hearing that. It's really, really good news for the industry, for South Africa as a whole. So well done on being part of that. A couple of people watching in. Josephine Prieur watching in France. Loves so much this winery, and the wines are just superb. The E on the end means you have to pronounce it with a French accent. Superbe. Merci bien, Josephine, comme d'habitude. Then from somebody who knows an awful lot about wine, in Josephine, to somebody who doesn't. Derek Kilpin chipping in. No changes here online. Bevan sipping it back, and Gordy keeping things together. I love that profile pic there, Derek Kilpin. It's very, very special indeed. Grant Sauls, I really enjoy the Granham 2013 and the Walker Bay Pinot Noir 2015 is outstanding. Love the Chardonnay as well. Just great wine all round. Grant, you'll be pleased to know we're trying all three of those wines in different vintages in just a moment. And then Daryl Balfour with probably the most important question of the day. Just bought a glass of Albarino while awaiting the surf report from these guys. What's the surf looking like in the Hemelanada Valley today, Bevan and Gordon?
No, we've been working all day. It's Monday. It's just work on a Monday. So, sorry, Daryl. But we're here tomorrow. It's going to be much better. So, sorry. No, it's actually a new swell came in, and it's a bit messy at the moment. So we're looking forward to something cleaner through the week.
Oh dear, the true passion of the brothers Newton-Johnson. Darryl also mentioning that Albarino there, which just consistently, I think last year it was my white wine discovery of the year, and I've been drinking it very happily ever since. It's not the only wine you make superbly, though. We've got 3 from that collection, which we're going to try. The first of these is the Newton Johnson. And Gordon, let's get an introduction to this. And if you can frame it for me just in this understanding of Hemel and Arda as Little Burgundy, Burgundy as Big Hemel and Arda. We've had a number of conversations with people from the Hemel and Arda over the last while, where I get a sense that for a lot of people, the comparison is we're almost past it. Yes, we know there are similarities, but the Hemel and Arda is standing in its own right. And a Hemel and Arda Chardonnay might have similarities to something from Burgundy, but it doesn't need that corresponding appreciation to make it worthwhile.
No, I don't think so. I think if there's any kind of corresponding aspect of it is probably more the philosophy. I think that we have a lot with Burgundians, and really looking at our vineyard work. I know it's an age-old saying of working in the vineyard and trying to keep things simple in the cellar, but it really is just that. But as far as any other comparisons go with Burgundy, I mean, we're totally different. Our climate is totally different. We're a maritime climate versus a continental climate. Our soils are worlds apart. I mean, we're dealing with Bockerveld Shale from the Hemel and Arda Valley and the Ridge, and ourselves with granite, ourselves like our neighbors with Restless River. So there's lots of different interpretations, and I think especially a grape like Pinot Noir is so expressive of where it's planted. And it's just about trying to see what's the best coming out of it, and really just focusing on that. Focus on your own game, don't play some other game. And but as I said, with a corresponding Burgundian kind of philosophy, I think everyone has a real respect for their vineyards and where they come from, and trying to respect the wine and trying to get some of that individuality into the bottle.
Yeah, if I could just echo that for a second. I mean, also with clients out last week, and the question came up again. And for me, if you look even to regions like into Stellenbosch now, with the rejuvenation of a lot of younger guys coming through there, Lucas van Lockerenberg, Dani Canarinas, along with even Etienne, what he's brought to the Riche, and then into the Swartland. I think South Africa is a lot happier with its European roots and with the philosophies that we've gained in individuality, put it that way. I think in many ways it's a strength of South Africa all around. And particularly for us here in the Hemel and Arda over the last 10 years, where more and more producers have brought a bit more momentum and also expression to the various parts of the valley and the region, is that we're not Burgundy. We love Burgundy, we love drinking it, but we're never going to be Burgundy. We're going to be who we are, and we're going to show that slowly as we find ourselves, our vineyards. I mean, Pinot's got a certain challenge in this industry, that we've still got relatively young vineyards in comparison to a lot of other regions. So I think you'll see the philosophies that you might know, entrench themselves as those vineyards start to show more.
What about the way that you two guys work together? Let's take this Chardonnay, for example, not dissimilarly to the Off the Wall just had from Spider Pig. It's not the wood taking center stage, it's the fruit instead. There's a lovely balance to the wine. There's the wine that you might want to make, Gordon, and then there's the wine, Bevan, that you might think is going to sell. Is there a regular argument? Is it a bit of an arm wrestle, or are you generally pretty much on the same page in terms of the winemaking and the marketing?
I think we're pretty much on the same page. I mean, we've been drinking some of these wines together as a family for a long time now, and I think we've. All these wines have taken such a long path, but like Derek, who you have now, we buy some of his wines, so it's always good for us to see what's out there and what Burgundy is doing well. But take for instance, I make the wines with my wife. It could end very badly if it didn't go well. But we both have the same palate. We might have different thoughts or different ideas to get there, which I think makes the whole process really interesting. But we pretty much can nail a certain character or a certain virtue in the wine that we both feel the same thing about. And that, I think, is as long as everyone's got the same goal in the end, and however you get there, I think is probably the debate and the bit of.
Yeah, I mean, to come in again, Gordy is the unqualified winemaker in the family. To get a qualified winemaker, Gordy married one. They take a very different approach to, thankfully, what is the same glass of wine. And in the family itself, there are some robust moments. There are some cutting moments. We've learned to be a little bit more gentle with each other, but over the years, but again, also over the years, we've learned to understand each other better. And so if there's something that needs to be said, it will be said. Chardonnay has been a controversial one. It's taken a lot of work from Gordy and Nadia and a philosophy that they wanted to take it at. And myself and my parents, we had to sort of drag on a little bit behind to sort of see what they were up to. But particularly in this 19, it was an amazing moment for them to see that what they've believed in the wine for the last 2-3 years is starting to come to fruition.
And with great success. It's another lovely, lovely Chardonnay. Will it be the best wine we try today? Well, I'm not sure, because you've got some serious competition from within your own ranks. I remember last year sending an incredibly dodgy Mexican drug lord your way, a mate of mine from New York, who phoned me in a state of complete overexcitement, having tasted your family vineyard's Pinot Noir, and his sort of Italian, Mexican, American brogue coupled with 7 bottles of Pinot Noir made him largely unintelligible, but I could tell just how excited he was. And that's not unusual, because when people try this wine for the first time, I find they really are blown away by it, because you are an area where Pinot Noir does come to the fore in the right hands, and Gordon, you have exactly those hands, guided of course by your wife to get it right. This is your newest Pinot Noir. Is there a secret to Heaven-Lanada Pinot Noir? Is there something magical that just makes it quite as irresistible as it is?
I think it is an equal combination of the soil. I think that there are similar soils to the Heaven-Lanada and other places. So you really need the climate to come to the party and really slow down the ripening. And, longer ripening is going to give you more complexity in these wines. And especially with Pinot, it doesn't like heat. And, I've made Pinots from all over the Western Cape, even up into Robertson, and it's tough going. Even for us in the Heaven-Lanada, sometimes you get a couple of warm years and fast ripening, and it's quite a challenge to still get that. How can I say that finesse in the wines and that perfume in the wines? But I think it's a combination. I mean, if anyone talks about terroir, man is also a big part of it. I think everyone here has their own vision or their own philosophy of how to do these wines. And I think that carries through into the viticulture, out into the vineyards and into the winemaking. So, every winemaker has their perception of how the wine should be or how the wine looks coming from those soils. So I think it's a little bit of everything. Terroir is not one overwhelming factor, be it soil or climate. So
yeah, I mean, again, I actually like to just echo Gordy there, is that I think if we take it from Hamilton Russell, who were the first here, the pioneers, they moved here to work with Pinot and Chardonnay. But I mean, I think Chardonnay had been explored around the Cape before then. So specifically, Pinot itself was actually something that was going to be really pioneered in this area. And then when Peter Finlayson moved next door, it was to pursue Pinot Noir. When we came along, it was pursue that grape and to match it with others. So I think the focus from the human side or from the farm side has also been really important for the Pinot Noir is a very unforgiving grape, and if you try and mix it up or try and confuse it with anything else, it'll bite you. And if you take your eye off it, it'll bite you. So I think the focus on that grape variety in this region has been paramount as well. And then the terroir and the climate and the soils have come along to support that. But what I think is foremost here, it's been interesting seeing Batu down the road, Batu Extian starting up his new little property. And he's the king of Sauvignon Blanc, as some people describe him. But he's got his own little vineyard of Pinot Noir, and every vine has got its own name. And I go past from fetching the kids at school, and I chirp, and are you having fun? He says it's his absolute sort of playroom. So yeah, he's getting into it. He's moved here to work with it. So it is an ultimate focus for our region.
You're watching Dan Really Likes Wine, presented by Pick and Pay, the brothers Newton Johnson. If you're thinking the one currently drinking at the moment might be the child of Andrew Flintoff and Kiefer Sutherland, no, it's actually Bevan Newton Johnson, who is responsible for selling the wines. And in terms of selling the wines with the story, if you're looking from the outside, we look at the Hemelanada and we look at Creation, and then Hamilton Russell and Beauchard Finlayson and Restless River and La Vierge. And we might think, well, here are lots of people all trying to sell Pinot Noir. Surely you are competing against each other. Am I right in thinking, though, that there is immense value in selling that Hemelanada Valley story and being part of just this really strong, instantly recognized bank of world-class Pinot Noir producers?
Yeah, I mean, very much so. Very, very much so. I mean, the community, the neighborhood, the working together. I think when there was one of us, Hamilton Russell, it was known for what it was known for. But wine is such a subjective thing, and it always, to me, is the nature of wine right down to its roots. And so if you offer someone more of a choice of something, more of Hemelanada, they will come home as to what are their firm favorites, rather than being cornered a little bit when they maybe only got 2 or 3 choices. And again, that story, that momentum and the quality level, it gets pushed every day. So there is always healthy competition, but there's always camaraderie. We've got our first professor of geology coming on Wednesday. He's a big Pinot lover, so we've managed to coax him, and we're working together with Restless River, our neighbors. So it's one day at Restless River, we try their wines, we speak about, go through their farm completely. Thursday is our farm, and you open yourself up. We can be criticized, we can maybe get some things right, but working together, especially as a younger region, especially as a more outlying region, you go to a lot of our support services in Stellenbosch and Paarl, and this tends to be a little bit too far off their map sometimes. So, it really does help to work together and to describe who we are and what we're about. And, Friday night was a bit of a heavy one for me because there were too many winemakers around a braai. But, the guys get together. It is good fun, sometimes almost too much good fun. And it's robust in criticizing each other's wines and maybe also acknowledging each other. But it really has helped in a number of different spheres.
You talk about what you are about. For many, many, many people, your entire valley is about Pinot Noir and it's about Chardonnay, and we've tried one of each. But I think increasingly, whether it's Restless River getting 5 stars for their cab or JC making, I think just about every single grape under the planet at the moment at Creation, up and down the valley, there is far more than just Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, which leads us, Gordon, into our third and final wine. This is the Granum. Tell us what the name means, what is in this bottle, and why on earth you're making something other than Pinot Noir or Chardonnay in the Hemelanada Valley.
Well, Granum is the Latin name. It's the origin of the word granite, which is our parent soil that we have here in the Upper Hemelanada. And when we planted the farm, we've probably got about 80% of our farm planted up with Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, and it's places where we selected soil with great clay, where these Burgundian varieties really thrive on clay. But we do have pockets which don't have any clay, that are quite free draining. And in order for us to really utilize the farm, we decided to use other varieties, and especially varieties that do well internationally with granite. So we've got Syrah in the Granum. It's predominantly Syrah. It's almost 75% with 25% Mourvèdre, which I've always loved, and we've been making this wine basically since 2003. And aside from this wine, on the white side, we've got the Albarino, which also thrives off granite soil. So we've found these little pockets, and the Granum pocket is about 2 hectares right at the bottom of our farm. It is incredibly stony, totally inhospitable to Burgundy varieties, which actually they're quite timid growers. They don't grow that strongly, so I don't think they would thrive there at all. So that was the intention for planting them, and I just love the varieties, especially Mourvèdre. I mean, I was hooked the first time I tasted it and really went out to go find some. I mean, 2003 was still early days of Mourvedre in the country. And we managed to get, in our first year, we got some from Evan. We did a bit of a grape stock with Evan. Which he never did again. And then after that, managed for about 2 years to get some from Sebastian Beaumont, which, you know, Sebastian still makes some of the best Mourvedre in the country, and they still hen's teeth to find a Mourvedre on its own. And they're really interesting wines in their own. And the Granum, I'd always wanted to blend these varieties, but also with the introduction of Grenache, which is the one that's taken a long time. I mean, we've had a plot open in the Granum area for over 10 years, waiting for the right vine material to come in. And it's planted now. It's beautiful bush vine. And we're going to be seeing that incorporated in the blend as it comes through. But Mourvedre is, I just find it's such a dark, seductive wine, and it's you know, it's got no fruit sweetness at all. It's all about these strong characters and savory characters mulling around, and I really like what it does with Syrah.
It does add a certain moodiness. You can kind of hear the Smiths playing in the background or something similar as you sip away at it. And for me, what I love about this is not just the wine in itself, but it just shows the diversity of you guys as an estate, as winemakers. There's more than just the big hitters that everybody is expecting, and we're all the better for it, for having something added to that offering. Guys, thank you both. It's been an absolute pleasure. I know you've got surfboards to wax in preparation for tomorrow's meetings, which you need to get to. But thank you for sharing the wine with us. Before you go, Angela Lloyd chipping in, my order in the post. I'm not sure what it's for, but knowing Angela, it's 10 cases of everything. I think she's the 4th thirstiest person in South Africa. The other 3 are all former Springboks. Tubby Allen Curry, where's D. Wibberley? We did some wine tasting and touring with Nick R about 35 years ago. No Ubers then. No idea who Nick R is. And 35 years ago, I think David Wibberley was 4. So I'm not sure how much wine tasting he was doing then, but knowing David, he had probably started his wine tasting career. So thank you. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in and watched and given some comments. And Gordon, Bevan, thank you both very, very much. It's always a pleasure. And this time you didn't try and start a fight on the show, which is an improvement on your last appearance. We're definitely making some progress. Thank you both. The new additions are fabulous. Thankfully, I've Coravined them, so I'm going to leave them for another few months, just a little longer, because I think both the Pinot and the Chardonnay are going to age beautifully. Granum's sitting nicely as well, but it also won't hurt. But thank you both very, very much indeed, and we look forward to having you back on the show again soon.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, everyone. And all drink happily, keep well, and stay safe.
Cheers, Dan.
So there we go. The boss of Newton Johnson, Gordon Newton Johnson, and his assistant, Bevan, taking us through their new releases, their new Chardonnay, their new Pinot Noir, and the 2016 Granum. 3 great wines from a fabulous, fabulous estate. Newton Johnson out in the Hamiltonada Valley. In fact, the first time I had that Chardonnay was at 12 minutes past 8 one morning on the Absa Cape Epic, when I'd finished doing an early run emceeing, stuck my head in, and Bevan gave me for breakfast a large glass of Chardonnay. One of the better breakfasts I've had in a while. That does wrap us up for this week. A reminder, though, do join the Pig and Pay Wine Club. It is free of charge. You don't get much free in the world at the moment. Just SMS your Smart Shopper number through to 36775. You get 3 times the Smart Shopper points. 10 wines are 20% off each month. Very carefully selected wines. There is also a 25% discount on a case each month and on a Magnum each month. And if you're buying online, it's free delivery, 6 bottles or more. And if you're shopping this month, in the month of November, and you buy any Paul Kluwer wines, such as this one he just happens to have next to him, the Paul Kluwer Sauvignon Blanc, any bottle of Paul Kluwer, bought a Pick and Pay as a member of the wine club, swipe that card, and you go into a draw. You could win 5,500 Rand worth of Paul Kluwer wine. Another very good reason to be shopping at Pick and Pay and supporting South African wine. What is happening later? Yes, later this week. So you heard a couple of comments from Derek Kilpin. Well, Derek himself will be on the show on Thursday, as well as, I think, David Sardi. We're hoping to confirm him because I will be at the Peach Hotel in Johannesburg. It's my wedding anniversary. 9 years my wife has put up with me. And so ahead of a dinner done with Faro, Alex and Eloise are doing a pop-up before a 5-course dinner to celebrate my wedding anniversary. I will be sampling some of the wine that night with the team from Great Domains who provided the wine and seeing just what I have to look forward to a little later on in the evening. Also this week, look out for a recorded episode from the reopening of the Table Bay, which includes PJ Powers, our new Miss South Africa, and a surprise guest chef, as well as wine from Peter Ferreira, Bubbles Ferreira at Graham Beck, Waterford, and wine from Delegraph. That's to come a little later on this week. Also, and this is really important, do look out. We'll have it up online the next day. Your chance to win a spot with me at the Cape Wine Academy for their introductory course. Look out for that online tomorrow. Thank you for joining us. Big thank you to Dave and Dave from Team Spider Pig. Look out for the Pig Sty opening this weekend. Go and join them if you're down in the Cape. Thanks to Bevan and Gordon as well. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you on Thursday, 5 o'clock at the Peach Hotel for a special night with Great Domains and Faro. Keep supporting South African wine. Cheers.